and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders are lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3 and Category 4. Look at that stretch, Emma. It is already a long line.
It is indeed, and not content having watched the other 3 starts, the other 3 very steady starts.
Another kick coming over the top. I am loving this aggressive racing.
Well, this pushing on now in Category 1 is making these splits really good. So 7 riders away, 2 chasing, and I think we're going to see a group of 9 riders in this Category 1 race, currently at 21.5 kilometres, Category 3 at 19.7 kilometres. They are 2 kilometres ahead of Category 2 at 17.7 and Category 1 at 16.9. One, I'm shocked that we may well see Category 1 catch Category 2 before we even get on the climb. But 2, I can't believe that chase group are coming and are going to catch the leading 6 riders. Make the juncture to the chase group in Category 4. It means it's offering the likes of Dallasay and Lytton the opportunity to sit behind the Category 3 riders and take the tow up to Lenore.
But Rado is right up at the front of this group. She's in touch with Rado. They are pushing on. The Category 3 riders can see the line. Can they make it? It's going to be into the last few meters. It's the kick for the line. They're going to make it. It's going to be Agadello, I think, who's going to take it. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 3 and I'm looking forward to some more exciting action. I'm hoping my voice will last the duration because I tell you something, the strain on my vocal cords every time we have these exciting race finishes is absolutely blowing them to pieces. Fortunately, it's not just me in the studio as always because although I am here, I'm Matt Payne, I'm joined by the one and only
Emma Martin. Lovely to be here again for qualifier race number 3. It's a long month, July. 4 qualifiers before our July final. But what a qualifier it is going to be today. We are heading to Australia, Matt.
Yeah, my vocal cords haven't gone down under. However, that is where we are. Emma, take us through the course.
Yeah, so we're on the Australia Outer Loop today. And this is a course that gives us really interesting racing. So 35 kilometres, 593 metres of climbing. And, well, most of that comes, as you can see, in the midpoint of this race today. So we've got a little kicker of 7% just after the start today. 2 short sprint segments and then that climb in the middle. It's a Category 2 climb. It's 5.4 kilometres long with an average gradient of 7.6%. However, there are 3 significant kickers on this climb, one at 13%, one at 12%, and that final kicker to the top, 16% that gradient gets to.
And that's where it maxes out on that final little ramp going up into the summit. So although all that third step isn't quite all that, that last bit really is brutal. So going to be really decisive, but it does change how things work when we have the climbs in the middle. And that is going to be really interesting when we see the riders go over wherever they're going to be. So this really is going to be a race on the way in. The other place that I look really on this, that this course makes me think, it looks flat everywhere else. It isn't.
Not.
It's because of the scale of the climb. The magnitude of the climb shrinks everything else down almost when you look at it. And actually, it's not flat, and that really does take its toll on the riders. Well, let's take a look at the teams and the riders. We have our 4 categories down on the start pens. Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red, with the riders going off in Categories 4, then 3, then 2, and then Category 1. The final riders away on the Sunday Race Club each time. 5 minutes separating each of the group starts, and we're going to kick off with our Category 4 riders. So this is going to be a fun race today, I think, because we've got some great riders here.
Yeah, we do indeed. 21 riders on the start sheets today in Category 4. Carla Lenore is here, so is Isabella Giraldo. Isabel Giraldo is here as well. Brittany Litton, Ella Vink, Liberty Dallassay, Carolina Alzat. All of these riders have had top fives in the last few weeks. And we're joined by some other interesting riders as well. So Tanglian is here, De Freitas is here, so is Sarasuk, Hoyweller as well as Al Mansouri and Kalab and Al Carby, apologies, here as well.
Yeah, Sloan Arcaby going to be very interesting to see how she goes on. She's been doing some great rides in there. Elvink and Dallassay, we know, are going to be in theory challenging at the front. Brittany Litton's been strong. Real mix of different riders' strengths and abilities. And those riders who can climb don't have it all their own way because they're going to be chasing down into the finish. So let's have a look at the riders. They're all lined. They're all spinning away. So it looks like they're all ready to go. Time to get to race start.
So as the final seconds tick down, the Category 4 riders are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday race card. This is qualifier race number 3 for July. Our first race category is up and out of the pens. So the pace is picking up very quickly as our riders are underway today. It's Alzat on the front with Aileen Francesco as well in there. That is Kirchner, who is up the front there. We're sitting in with Vink at the moment. You know, this pace is a steady pace to start with. Here's just 3.3 watts per kilo on the front, but settling down very, very quickly. Ella Vink down to sub 2 watts per kilo. So, well, we know just shortly out of the start pen on this course, there is a 7% little kicker climb, and you can see that on the top right-hand corner of your screen.
And this is brutal. I've been out and ridden this on MyWhoosh a number of times, subjecting myself to this climb. And I have to say, from the moment you go underneath this fiery red and yellow banner here, the kick comes, and it really does come quick. 2.8, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7% very shortly. And then you go over the top, and there's not much time to put any recovery in before you're diving down and into the next part of the course. And if you've not warmed up well, you're going to be in trouble. Now, this is about a minute and a half climb, dependent on the pace that the riders set on the front. It can be done in sub a minute, but my goodness me, you've got to be a world-class sprinter pretty much to put that volume of power down. You won't be in fit state to do anything afterwards.
Well, take a look at the damage already being done to this Category 4 race. Whilst there's not a significant push on the front, we've got 1 or 2 riders just getting distanced off the back of the group, and we've seen riders attack this early in the course, but often the group comes back together again. This really is about whether you can hang on to the group. You're not going to win the race here, but you could definitely lose the group.
And an effort here is energy used. It's whether it's wise to do that and test out the riders. You can see Ella Vink here already starting to stretch this group out, and everybody else who's having to react, they're having to expend energy. If she's confident she's still sitting in a zone where she's going to be able to push on over the top, may well be that she's going to put people in trouble here, find out the rider's strengths and weaknesses, but with a long way to go. It's so early in the course, 35k distance total. That climb comes in, the peak of the climb at 1k. That is really, really early. And you can see what's happening here on the screen. Liberty Dallassay now having to push to squeeze on here, having to lift up the watts, put out more power and chase down the riders in front. And they have the benefit of riding in a group, whereas the riders behind don't have that draft advantage. Dallassay makes contact. She's up with the group. That means that that leading group of what looks to be 8 riders currently just stretching the way out as they go down past the shoreline here. They're going to go across past the start pens, which are actually on the rider's right-hand side here. They came off that boardwalk. They're going to go straight across now and going to make their way down, and that group has well and truly fractured.
Well, it has indeed, but the question is, will it all come back together again on this downhill run section? This is a long downhill. It's not a particularly steep downhill, but it is very long, and it does allow the momentum to bring riders back to the group, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here and whether those 8 riders stay clear or whether that group starts to swell.
And we've got riders like Claricia Garcia in here. We've got Isabella Giraldo. these are experienced riders. Becker Tangilon, Fernando Caron in there, Kirchner's in there, Oliveira's in there. We've got names that we see week in, week out. They know what's coming, but knowing what's coming doesn't mean you can do anything about it. And of course, it's not necessarily the case that these riders are coming in this fresh.
Oh, absolutely. So that is our Category 4 riders on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left-hand side of your screen, Category 3 are warming up in the pen.
They are indeed. Let's take a look at our riders. They're all individual riders here today, and another class race field here. Interesting to see we've got Johanna Zimmerman in here from the Beast Mode Powered by Rose team.
Yeah, we do indeed. 15 riders in total in Category 3 today. Now, let's remember there's 4 qualifiers in July, so lots of opportunities to get your 2 qualifying races in. Claudia Marin is in here, Barco Ossa, Becerra, Koking is here, Ospina and Agudelo. So I'm expecting a good race out of Category 3.
And I think this is going to be really competitive. Let's make sure we see these riders out cleanly. There are Category 3 riders, so the first step up from Category 4. Here we go. Category 3 hitting the racetrack. They go out from the pen underneath the yellow banner, out from the gantry, and they head towards that shoreline. We saw our Category 4 riders sweep across past them. They'll have seen them go through. They're now going to go out on the course for this first short loop that they go out. It's a left-hand turn. They're heading for that steep climb. So here we go in on the run in. There's a little dip here. This depression allows you to build speed. Then it starts to rip your legs off when you go up from here. Going to be very interesting to see what happens as they push here. Right hand turn coming up. Good to see we've got her Hecka in here. Now, she had a great ride last week. You'll have seen it on the start sheets and the results. If you were looking at last week, she was actually cracking right, didn't she?
Yeah, she took the win last week from Montoya, Agudelo, Ospina and Becerra. Now, some of those riders not on the start sheets today, but one of the riders who is on the start sheets today is indeed Fernanda Pulgarin. Pulgarin took the win in Qualifier 1. So we have today the winner from Qualifier 1 and the winner from Qualifier 2 in the mix. So our riders just pushing on. They are coming to the base of this little steep kicker and climb. The gradient is starting to go skywards, and the group all still together at the moment, but just a little stretch starting to appear.
And that is where you see these riders at the front, they might not even lift the pace, they might just hold the pace going in, hold the speed, hold the power. And that is one of the ways of doing it that puts people under pressure. When people hit a hill, naturally they'll change in the gear, go for something slightly easier, pedal an easier gear. If you just push that a little bit longer into the climb, a little bit harder through the gear, as you hit the gradient, they start going backwards, and that puts them under pressure. And by doing that, you're going through, and it doesn't require much of it. It's just a little technique that allows you that extra push, that extra squeeze. You can't do it for long, but every little bit counts.
Well, I tell you, this pace from Category 3 riders much steadier up this climb than Category 4. Category 4 utilising it to put some attack into the group and just spread it a little. And indeed, we saw that group of 8 riders going clear. They are on the right-hand side of your screen. The entire group, I think, bar one rider from the Category 3 race, still all together and now on the downward slopes.
So the riders are heading in on the right-hand side. Now on your main screen, they are the Category 4 riders in red. The riders in the blue are Category 3. Will lead them to sort themselves back into order as these riders come into our sprint segment banners. So the sprint segments here today from 4.2 to 4.5k. This is the end banner. Looks much like the start, just a different word underneath the bottom of it, just to give us the indication whether at the start and the finish. So that's our first group in and through. Emma, what sort of time are we looking at through that 300 metre normally?
I can confirm 2 things. One, that De Gracia went through, leading the group through in 33 seconds. For that sprint segment. But what I can also confirm is that group of 8 who went clear on that first climb are still together, and they have not been caught by any other of the Category 4 riders.
So that's a snapshot, that window. You can just see the screen up on the left-hand side. 33.8 seconds, the leading time through there. But then Dallasay and Hawaii, but 8 riders going through together. And that's one of the ways that you can check what's happening on there. Those results are live on MyWhoosh.com. Don't forget you can jump on to the website and check those out. So we're going to leave our Category 4 and Category 3 riders at 5K and 2.26K at the moment. So just making the way out on course. Our next group to start will be our Category 2 riders. And our Category 2 race field, really competitive. See some great racing from Category 2. Let's run through some of the riders in here, some of the people we expect to feature in the racing.
Yeah, 17 riders on start sheets today. Embring is here, so is Para. We know she likes a fast start. Gonzalez, Quintero, Acevedo, Miller, Lopez, and Walkenhurst, just to name a few. Now, Gonzalez took the win last week. Hermansen took the win in Qualifier 1, but Hermansen progressing to Category 1 this week.
Well, that is a good reward there for her on the way through. It is our Category 2 riders ready to go.
So in with Kimberly Miller as the clock ticks down. Our Category 2 riders are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for qualifier race number 3. They are in Australia. This is the outer loop course. They are going up the big climb in the middle. Once they hit the peak of that Category 2 climb, it's a 14.3 kilometre run in to the finish line. So Lopez takes that corner in the middle of this Category 2 pack. Now, interestingly, already a split in this group out of the start pens. We've got a large group in the front and just a couple of riders just distanced off the back here, pushing on now to ensure that they catch that front group before we get to that little kicker.
Yeah, and that gradient soon kicking in, and we're seeing a push off the front here. Just seeing the riders starting to wind it up, and this is a more aggressive start. The gradient just picking up underneath the banner we go, and this is where it's uphill all the way to the summit. This first little kicker, it's not really a huge climb, but it's enough to separate riders, and you can see there are people having to react, put themselves in the red. You can see that on the right-hand side of your screen, and as these riders push on, it's Ortiz, I think, who's doing the damage on the front. So Ortiz in there, Carmona up at the front, Embring in here. Really just good to see Hannah Embring in here. One of our really strong riders who we know can figure right at the front of this. Angie Parra is in this group as well. Jenny Tan, Jenny Sanchez. Oh, it's a real who's who of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and this is what we're looking forward to. We love it when we get our riders in. We know they're going to keep us entertained. I hope you are watching. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, thank you very much for watching. Might be worth having a look on the Twitch TV. So if you go to Twitch TV and it is MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV, then have a look and check out the graphics. They come in the full glorious technical, to use the old school phrase. It's really high definition, absolutely stunning. And the world's from Australia in the women's today, in the men's we're over in Colombia, and all of the worlds on MyWhoosh look amazing when you ride them, and they look great when you're watching them in the full resolution. So do jump on there and have a watch. See these riders in action. And you can't quite see the beads of sweat on the avatars, but it's pretty close.
Well, I can guarantee you that the riders on their trainers at home or wherever they are do indeed in real life have sweat on them. Their avatars may not, but the hard work is really being done by those riders. And take a look at this. This is Vink and Dallasay. So Vink has gone down the road in Category 4. Wow, what an effort. Currently at 7.2 kilometers into this race. Dallasay is the rider chasing Vink. Vink 2 seconds cleared down the road. Dallasay the one chasing. Howeller and Diego Alzat's Lenore are all 9 seconds back.
So big break. Ella Vink pushing, Dallasay pushing, got the gap. They've opened this up.
And this is the run into the tunnels, isn't it?
It is. This is the downhill run. So if you remember on that course profile, we had a dip down. This is a dip into the tunnel. We've got a big climb back out again. They are in that tunnel section. Meanwhile, category 3 are approaching. So they've come through the sprint. You can see top right-hand side of the screen, the climb that comes up. You got a little dip, then we got a rise, and then that big drop down to the tunnels coming up, and that's what's separating these riders. They're going to be on the descent as we see category 4 go up the ascent on the other end, and that is really telling. Now the pressure is on here. You can see riders are trying to push clear here. They're really working hard to open up the gap. So right hand side bottom, category 4 in the tunnels, 3 on the way towards them, 2 heading in towards the sprint and the coastline once again. Category 1, they're lined up ready to go, and boy have we got some riders for you today.
Yeah, we do indeed. 39 riders on the start sheets today for category 1, and it is a real who's who of regulars but also new riders joining too. Geraldo Arreyes, Julie Sanchez, last week's winner, Morgane Olsen, Bjarhed, Marin, Quevedo, Manshandi, Fua, Hermansen moving up from category 2. It is going to be a really good race today.
So who will be taking this out? Who's going to be making this happen? You can see we're in with Lisa Hermansen. How's she going to fare today? It's time to find out. It's time to go racing. It's category 1, our final category to go out from the start pens, and away we go. Here it comes. This is the start of the final wave away, and we are watching these riders head off onto that same start loop that takes them out and round. And already you can see the pressure is on. There are some very quick kicks off, and it looks like it's Jessica Menendez who has opened up the throttles. I think she's wanting to take off from this group early. Has she got the afterburners lit? She certainly has. 6.3 watts per kilo. What a start already.
Well, I'll tell you what, she's been out racing on the road because she's not been with us on the Sunday Race Club for a little while. But boy, is she making her return felt to this group at the moment. She has gone for a flyer off of the start line.
Welcome back, Jessenia. Welcome back to the Sunday Race Club. And boy, how to make your return known to everybody else. Look at this, Quevedo is having to respond at 7 watts per kilo. She's up to 9 watts per kilo here. Are we going to see an early break in the racing?
Well, I tell you what, we know this is a race of 2 halves on this course on the outer loop, because if you are not with the leading group at the top of that category 2 climb, you know, 20 kilometres into this race, you do not stand a chance by the finish, because that 14.3 kilometre run in, well, that is just a run in to the final sprint. You have got to be going over the top of that climb with everyone. That first 20 kilometres of this route may well as have the finish line at the top, because that last run is downhill and pretty flat to the finish. That is absolutely what this group of riders have twigged now from racing this Australian outer loop course a few times now on the Sunday Race Club. They know this first half of this course is absolutely crucial. And boy, out of the pen this has gone.
This is what we love about the Sunday Race Club. We always get that mix. Somebody comes back in. Menendez is here. Gaviria is here. Quevedo, Carvajal chasing hard. Julie Sanchez right up in the mix. These are the riders who we know are going to be right in there. And the other thing to remember, of course, is that this selection will be shedding riders who are new to the Sunday Race Club, because when you drop in, you don't get to drop in category 4 if you're a top flight professional and take away all the prizes on the way through. You drop in category 1, and we don't have a fixed time on MyWhoosh to decide where you are going to be. We don't say that it will happen after 1 race or 3 races. It is done when we have enough data. So the more you ride things like Tune Up Tuesdays and show us what you're capable of, the better a job, the faster you'll be allocated to the correct category. And this is one way of doing it. We are seeing that split. And Emma, that is a lead, but that's a big group behind.
Well, it is a big group behind, and the quality of this race field is phenomenal. And the riders know they have to warm up for this course because they know how fast the start is. Can I just say, if you are a new rider in Category 1 and you have not raced the Sunday Race Club before, and you are watching or listening to this now or later, do not be put off, because normally we do not see a 2 minute 7 watts per kilo attack out of the start pen. This is course specific.
And you will soon be in a category for your ability level, but we need to get that data from you. So don't panic, find a group, ride together in that group, get some assistance, learn how it rides, and you'll soon be working your way through. Now, whether you end up in category 4, 3, 2, or indeed this is right where you're meant to be, it does take time, and the best riders in the world, they jump on to esports. We see time and time again, the road pros jump on board, they go, oh, I'm going to smash it to pieces. Do you know what they don't? Because it's a technique like any discipline. You wouldn't expect to jump from a mountain bike onto a road bike to a track bike to a XC mountain bike eliminator that we were commentating on yesterday for the World Cup.
Well, unless your name's Marianne Vos.
Well, even Marianne Vos is not going to be able to jump on and just be going to do some specific training to get that adaptation and learn exactly how each discipline is. So don't panic, jump on, ride on, get a great race wherever you are in that group. But if you're at the front of this, expect it to hurt quite a bit.
I'll tell you what, this is a quality field at the front of this race already. Menezes, Olsen, Quevedo, Fua. Jenny Sanchez is in here as well. Geraldo Arrayas is chasing. She's 3 seconds back. You know, I think they may well come back on this. Alzat is there, so is Manshandi. But these are the chasing riders. This is a good group at the front, but this big group behind are going to come back because it has settled at the front now. And the group behind, they have done a huge amount of work to get back in here. Now, let's just hope they haven't burnt all their matches too early.
Well, indeed not. It's a limited supply for the old school. We'll see whether it is a box of Swan Vestas or a box of Cook's matches, if we're going to go into the old hackneyed cliches here. And let's see how these riders progress. I think those days are done. I think we have things like lighters now. I wouldn't know these things.
I think lighters have been around for a long time.
Have they really? There you go. Well, let's see who's going to set this light, who filled it with nitrox and who filled it with water. We will see, because as you can see, our riders are well into the racing, and they've done their 2 little loops out and around the start area. Even our category 1 riders are past that now, and they're now heading into town. They are chasing category 2. Distance on the road between the 2 is just over 2 kilometers, and that means that they've still got plenty of work to do. And in part that is because although category 1 have started fast, category 2 is active as well. I wouldn't say it's necessarily as aggressive or as fast, but we've seen a lot of red and orange coming up on the right hand side of category 2 screens and category 1. So that's an indicator that they are motoring along quickly. Into the sprint we go. This is our snapshot as we go through 300 meters. This is where we're going to see whether or not category 1 are going faster than category 2, 3 and 4, because we'll start to get those times come in, and then we can give you a much better indicator of who's really on the move. Not just what we see and you see on the screens, but just what that data is.
Well, interestingly, our category 1 riders have settled down a little bit following that very fast first 3K today. We are seeing it settle down, but Alzat just pushing on the front there. I don't think she wants to let off the pace at the moment. This is now, well, it's still quite a large group for category 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, looking at that. So Quevedo goes through with the fastest time at 30.8 seconds. Alzat in 2, Fur in 3, Olsen in 4. I am just scrolling down the screen. Angie Parra, who had the fastest time from category 2, is in 14th place. But just taking a look at that, I'm going to tell you there are 17 riders in that category 1 group.
So 17 riders in category 1 as they go through. Here come the results on the screen, and as you can see, Quevedo, as Emma said, leading through 30.88 seconds, and you've got to go a long way down to find our riders in category 2. The time of Parra, who we always know is going to be a quick starter, the fastest category 2 rider was what, Emma?
Angie Power went through in 31.6, so not far off the pace at all of the Category 1 riders, but that time giving her 14th.
And you can see on there, it was about 4.5 watts per kilo, the average pace going through. So that's a steady pace going through there for Category 1, but still quicker than Category 2. And that is what we would expect if it all went to the form book, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes we see Category 4 and 3 more aggressive at the start. But I think when we've got a big mountain part way through, when you've got this big climb, this Category 2 climb, as they go in and through, particularly when it's midway or towards the end of the race, then our riders don't necessarily want to put too much energy down early. And I think the other thing is, when the climb's at the end, the riders know whether if you're a climber or a non-climber, where you're going to do your effort. If you're a non-climber, you're going to put that effort in at the start. If you're a climber, you'll put it in at the end. Because we have the climb in the middle, where do you go? Where do you put your effort? Well, if you're a climber, okay, you're going to put it on the climb. But when you're a non-climber, do you go early? Do you go late? Do you save energy for the climb? What do you do? And that really mixes up. And everybody is a mix of both. You know, there's no, I don't think there's a pure climber and a pure sprinter when you are talking about esports, particularly on a course like this. Well, what are they racing for? Why do you need to be good on any of these? It's because if you are in our top 5, there's some great prize money. Take us through the prize money, Emma.
Yeah, so Category 4 prize money in front of you. So these are our red jersey wearers, the ones who started first. Qualifier races right on the right-hand side of your screen, the individual classification today. So first prize today in Category 4, 2,160 AED. And you will see that the prize money changes as we roll through the all the categories. But Category 4 there, so on the qualifier races. On our monthly final, you'll see the team's classification gets added in as well. So Category 3 today, qualifier, the winner will take away 3,600 AED. The team's classification at the monthly final, 18,000 AED that team will take away for winning. Now, the team classification at the end of the month, it is 3, your fastest 3 in the teams. So teams have between 3 and 5 riders. Your fastest 3 riders' times are added together, and it's that overall time that gives you the winning time in the team's qualification.
So you can see Category 2 stepping up, individual price 6,000 AED for first, down to 1,200 AED for fifth. When we go on to the finals, team prizes huge, 30,000 AED. And that is a substantial sum, whichever way you look at it, no matter how many people you have in your team. But remember, of course, great competition, great riding, chance to get bragging rights, but the chance to win, great prize, and all part of the MyWhoosh policy of making this a sustainable discipline. Now, to give you an indication of just how sustainable this is, individual classification for first category riders. They are going to win 10,000 AED, and currently at the exchange rate that we have, 10,000 AED, to give you an indication, is £2,079 in sterling if you were operating in sterling. If you are in US dollars, then that is 2,722 US dollars at the moment. And if you were to operate in something maybe a little bit more unusual, so let's go for a Solomon Islands dollar. That is 22,783.99 Solomon Island dollars.
Well, there you go, and 50,000 AED for the first team classification as well. So phenomenal prize money on the Sunday Race Club. These teams are serious. They are serious in their racing, and they are serious in their commitment to esports and its professionalization, as MyWhoosh is. And of course, the team money is equal in the men's and women's racing, and we will see our men's race later today. You need to join us after the women and tune in for that as well.
And don't forget, you can tune in on the Twitch TV channel. It's MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV. You can subscribe to that or to the YouTube channel, both coming out to you live. My name's Matt Payne, bringing you all of the action here today. You may have heard of me on everything from the World Championships, the UCI, from the gravel to the road to the eliminator. Emma is here with me as well, and Emma as well, a world-class commentator, commentating on World Cups, national championships, and it's great to put words to the action. We've been doing this quite a while now for MyWhoosh. We're into the second year, and I tell you something, the racing just keeps on giving, but the platform keeps on developing.
It just gets
better. It's amazing and amazing. I had a little look back the other week at the racing on the first one we actually put the words to the action to. And do you know what? It was an absolute cracking set of races. But the main difference was in the experience of watching it. And the graphics now, the smoothness of it, the way it rolls, the accuracy of the way the riders respond. Brilliant, and such development in such a relatively short space of time. It is incredible to see, and absolutely loving to look forward to the future of where we're going to be. And we move on another year, we're going to have all those changes, and we're seeing that in the sport for esports, and that's great to see. And the riders benefit, we benefit watching, and it's great to be with you here today. Please do subscribe. Let's get back to the action.
Yeah, we are in an evolving discipline, and the racing is evolving as well at the moment. On the right-hand side of your screen is our Category 2 race. We're watching in with Kimberly Miller. They are just coming up and out of those tunnels. Our Category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen, coming up for 9 kilometers. They are on the flat section in those tunnels. Only 1.8 kilometers behind that Category 2 race. Now, that Category 2 race started 5 minutes before the Category 1 race, but the pace on the Category 1 race today, well, that has been phenomenal. At this point in time, however, this for me is a recovery section, because take a look, Quevedo's heart rate has now dropped to 131. So for those of you who are new to watching the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Cap, on the top left-hand side of your screen, you will see the information on the rider we are following. So on the bottom right, Quevedo is in purple. That indicates that we are watching Quevedo. Her stats on the top left-hand corner, she's currently at 135 watts in green, indicating she's in the draft. It switches to black when she loses the draft. 89 revs per minute, a heart rate of 129, telling me that this is a very, very steady pace for Quevedo, and this is a recovery period. Her heart rate has dropped. She's recovering from that hard start, ready to go again, because the action is only going to come alight as we hit that climb at 15.3 kilometers. So in just over 5 kilometers time, we hit the bottom of that climb, and this race for me is really going to light up then.
It is. We saw that initial kick on the first climb. We were about to hit a climb out from the tunnels, and we hit the major climb of the day, which is our second category climb, and that's where Liberty Delisay, who is currently our leader after having chased him down and passed Ella Vink, is on now. She's on that climb. She's hitting those slopes, and she's on her way up here in category 4. As you can see, this is where it starts to take its toll. Now, the distance that it seems between the riders that you see on the screen will reduce as you go on to the climb. This is true whether you're in an alpine mountain like the Tour de France or the Giro, or on the Jebel Hafid in the UAE Tour. The distance as it appears between the riders will come down, but the time gap will be for the same time gap. But that's quite simply physics. Going slower, distance between the riders is reduced. When we're on the descent, the distance will appear bigger, but the time gap could be the same. And that's where getting into the slipstream is key, because if you can get in the slipstream, you can close that gap whilst you've got a really close view. You might just use that, and your brain, the way it works, it's easier to close the gap on an ascent than it is on a descent, irrespective pretty much of what build you are, because you can see the rider in front, you've got them close. When they're out of sight and out of mind, it might be a phrase that we use on commentary a lot, as well as when you're racing, but it also works in your brain in terms of chasing it down. Now, very different races in category 4 to category 3. 4 is on the right of your screen, 3 on the left hand side of your screen. Category 4 broken up, 2 escapees, Delisay and Vink from Lenore, Daglio, Alzate, Howeiler and Co. Category 3 here, this is a big group here, and they are just coming into the lower slope, so they're about to start the climb up proper. They're at 15.03. The banner should come at, I think it's 15.3 if my memory serves me correctly. In fact, the riders can see it in front of them. It's halfway over the bridge, over the base of the waterfalls at the base of the mountain. So the riders are coming up to that start banner. Here you can see it is that traditional white with the red dots, the polka dots banner. And that is where our riders are heading. Underneath they go, and we will get time checks as they come over the top. Category 3 starting to catch riders from Category 4, heading into the climb, and it's all up to the top with a couple of exceptions. There are 2 flat sections, so we talked about this climb, 3 climbing main sections, 2 flat platforms. I think probably bears a little bit of a closer inspection on this. Let's show you exactly what we mean here on the course profile. So, concentrating on the red sector in the middle of the graphics you've got right in front of you, you can see we have the first part of the climb. It starts off steep, it gets even steeper, and then it flattens out, and it's a big flat step. Imagine it's the first step of a flight of 3 steps. That platform actually tips forward at the toe, so the section dips down. That means that when you're climbing steeply, you go over, pushing a massive effort in, it dips down, and suddenly you're going downhill. It then kicks again, goes up second slope, again steepens towards the top, then it levels out, but it's for very short section. It only takes a few seconds to cover because it is flat, and then we're on to the third sector, and again the steepest bit at the top. And remind us again, Emma, of those gradients on each of the peak gradients on each of these 3 steps.
Yeah, so on step number 1 you'll get gradient of around 13%, step number 2 around 12%, but that final step it kicks just before the summit at 16%.
And then it levels off again before the descent, but it doesn't stay level for long at
It
the top.
doesn't. And the pace of change of momentum and speed as you hit that downhill, well, those riders who kick hard over that first part of the downhill section, their momentum will pick up very, very quickly, and they will accelerate from the group. Now accelerating away from this Category 3 group as the base of the climb is here is Obando. She is riding away from Jose Gallego and Pulgarin, but there is a chase on behind because Pulgarin has just pushed on those pedals. 4.6 watts per kilo. Look at those red numbers coming out of the chasing group. They do not want to let her go, so pushing hard to bring her back as Pulgarin and Zimmerman, Obando, Jose Gallego all in there at the front. Mabin is there as well, so is Claudia Marin and Pelagio. This group of Category 3 riders do not want to lose a leader because they just won't catch them again.
So you can see the riders on your screen with the red bandana. That is Zimmerman. The head comes up with the white helmet, yellow helmet going up over the top is Pulgarin. So Pulgarin really working smoothly. You can just see everybody really is working hard to keep this gap down. The question is going to be, how long will they stay together as a group? How long will it take to break this apart? And if you go over the top, Emma, talked earlier, you said going over the top is clear. You've got to go over with the top with the leaders to go through at the front. If one rider came over the top solo, how big a gap would they need to stay clear, do you think, of the chasers? Because the chasing group will get draft advantage. They will get the advantage of staying in with the pack and not have to work as hard. What sort of lead do you think you'd need if you're one rider at the top of this climb?
Well, to be very honest, we've seen in the men's race Nelson go over the top of this climb with not a particularly huge gap.
Only a few seconds?
Only a few, well, yeah, a few seconds, and, well, just ride away for them and time trial right the way to the finish.
So if that was the case and he rode away to the finish, and we're looking at a time gap of only a few seconds, that would mean that he's putting a massive effort in there, because there is a big advantage sitting behind riders and having riders behind you as well.
Well, the key to this is, because the steepest part of this climb is the last part of the climb, you can literally be with a group and attack with around 250 meters to go till the top of the climb. As long as you hold that attack up and over and you can get your momentum high, you know, the key point of the downhill is the first part, because if the group can come back to you on the first part of the downhill, they're going to stay with you. If you can keep that gap as you head down the hill, the pace that the group behind have got to push on at to catch you sometimes can be too hard for them to close the gap. So that is why, for me, almost the finish line to this course is the top of this climb. You have got to be there. You cannot be 5 seconds back. You cannot be 8 seconds back. You could possibly get away with being 2 seconds back, but only possibly. It really, really depends.
Oh, you love the vagaries of racing. That is exactly why it never ever goes to a set formula. We've got some very different racing on our screens. You can see at the moment, Dalise, the bottom right-hand side in the red on her own. In Category 4, Category 3, there on the right in the middle in the blue. That is the group together pretty much on that climb. Category 1 are chasing the riders out on course, but the big screen showing you our Category 2 riders who are now into the base of the climb. 15.3 the start of the climb, so 15.7 the numbers up on the clock. That means they are into the climb. This is a group of riders and they have got to push to stay in that group. Emma's told you just how critical it is to be in here. If you want to understand the physics of the aerodynamics and the chasing and the pack and the drafting, there are lots and lots of sources out there on how it works. It is really, really simple. Basically, if you can hide behind somebody else, you can save energy. With the faster it goes, the easier that is. It's not a straight equation as you go basically up. If you're going double the speed, it doesn't take double the power.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. And also the other thing that doesn't work is the fact that you might make the assumption that the person with the largest amount of power wins the race. That is just not true. You know, arguably we always say it should be the person with the lowest average power that wins the race, because they are the best rider at drafting and conserving energy. And conserving energy is all what this is about.
And that doesn't preclude you, if you're a big power monster, from taking the win. You've just got to be smart on where you use it and how you use it, just like any bike racing.
And technique is just as important on the MyWhoosh platform as it is in a mountain bike race.
There you go. You heard it from the qualified mountain bike coach, national podium rider at the National Mountain Bike Series, member of the British Cycling Mountain Bike Commission, and she just said you need as much technique for esports.
You do, it's just different.
As you do for mountain bikes. So there we go. Shows you it's not just about putting down those watts. Now, a Bando using that power over the top. Great technique there being shown and great knowledge of how to use it. This is the first step. This is the top of step number 1. She's rolled over the top of that, and you can see this descent. She took that pace through. It's allowed her to ease off, and that heart rate just coming down, just dropping down to 157 there. The group now come up, and she rejoins the group, and this group now quickly running in towards the second part, seconds up section, the riser, rather than the tread of the step as you go up. So you can see on the top right hand side of your screen that graphic with the linear, the thin line of the profile working its way across. Our riders approaching it. They go from left to right on that graphic. They're indicated by the green arrow at the base, and as you can see, they've just hit the slopes that take them up onto the second part of the climb. You can see the second step, the second tread, and then the climb up, and then the tread that is the top. It is not as knife edge as the Wollongong climb. So when we go straight into the standard Wollongong climb, where we come in to the circuit in Australia, and we have that it's almost a knife edge. It's razor sharp at the top, and you're going from 18% up to 80% down. Not quite that. There is a little platform, but it's very minimal. Now, here we go into the climb. Come on, final leading group. These are the leaders in Category 1. Don't forget, they're not the last riders on the road by any stretch of the imagination. There are riders all the way around the circuit now, as riders of different abilities and speeds and paces are making their way up. But Category 1 now onto the climb, and you can see all 4 categories on the climb. The furthest up that climb, currently Liberty Dalise. She is our leader on the road at the moment, riding in Category 4. The Category 1 riders are the leaders at 15.48 in Category 1. So they're at the base of the climb, just coming in. They started what is essentially going to be 15 minutes behind, if my maths is correct. You can tell my brain's struggling every now and then with the maths today.
Well, let me
I
give
did
you.
the conversions of the currency, okay.
You did. Let me give you a few other numbers, just as an indicator for our viewers. So last time we were on this course, Category 4 riders, time up this climb was 25 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Category 1, that time, 17 minutes. That is the difference.
25 to
7, 8 minutes difference. Now, bearing in mind that the Category 4 riders started 15 minutes before the Category 1 riders, that's an 8-minute closure. Obviously, as we can already see, Category 1, because of that fast start, have closed down on the riders in front of them. But we haven't seen any more or any further attacks from Category 1 since that really fast first 4K. So they really have recovered from that early push.
Now, really interesting to see as we come up here, Liberty Dallasay just dropping down to sort of 3.6, 3.7. The revs that she's putting out there, 37 revs per minute. Now, that would indicate to me there's a number of things happened here. It could be that Dallasay went really hard into the climb, decided to wait for a little bit of a group, or is just taking a break when she comes into the flat section. It could be that she's got an issue with the bike. Now, one of the things that happens if you have an issue with something like a electronic gear system is that when it starts to fail, it has a habit of putting it into the smallest sprocket at the back, and that is the biggest gear. Now, you might want to ride like Carla Lenore here. 74 revs per minute, nice smooth pedal revs. It probably ramped up by the fact she's just taken the race lead, and it's kicking on here. Nice pedal revs, looking smooth. That is not always possible when you've got the biggest gear you've got engaged.
What is really interesting, isn't it? Dallasay, like you say, is at a much lower cadence, but she's holding a constant power output. Lenore is kicking on a higher cadence and then backing off, kicking, then backing off, kicking, then backing off.
And that's much more climber technique. So if you watch the great climbers out on the road, you'll see, and the same's true on mountain bike as well, on some of the big marathon climbs that you get in there and the big alpine climbs in the World Cups. What you find, the climbers will sit and then stand, sit, stand. They will rev, they will ease, they will rev, they will ease, they will fluctuate rather than sitting on a steady power output. Steady power output would indicate somebody who's generally better suited to a steady state effort, not necessarily a pure climber. Now, in with Category 3. Pure climbers in here, Emma, in this group, or are we looking at a mix? Is it possible to tell when we've got so many riders together?
Well, we've gone from 11 riders in this group at the bottom to 7 riders now on the slopes, as we're hitting just shy of 15% at the moment, and the group is pretty much all still together, very well matched. You know, this is becoming a really select group now. Marin, Agudelo, Abado is just off the pace here. So it is a strong group, but well, they really have split up the Category 3 race as that group start to just shed Jose Gallego. You know, she is one of the strong riders here, but just getting distance from that group now. She's 5 seconds back, and what is really interesting is once the gaps start to form on this climb, they really do form because the gradient is so steep.
And this is where she's got to push. This is where we talk about being with the riders to go over. We're about to hit the next level section. And if she can push on here and get back in with this group, she will find herself in a position where when it accelerates through across that step, she will be in the right place. Now, Carvajal pushing on here, trying to break this group up. She doesn't want to take a big group up into that flat section. They're chasing hard, and they are not that far behind.
Red numbers are across the board on this Category 1 race at the moment. They might have recovered into the base of this climb, but the power is now going down as Carvajal, Quevedo, Sanchez, Fua, Giraldo, Arrayas, Olsen and Santiago are head-to-head pushing the power and trying to go here up this climb today.
And this is the attack. This is the response. It was a big group coming in. We are seeing some big numbers coming out. Carvajal using her power and her pace, her climbing ability. Quevedo putting in some serious responses here. Seeing Menendez in that chasing pack as well. Fua Olsen in here. Geraldo Arias in there. Marin is in there as well. Daniela Marin, no surprise to seeing her up near the front on the climb as well. I think Digama Shandy not far off the pace, but we're starting to see splits, and they are about to hit that leveled section, which shows you that they are not that far behind. I could imagine that they're soon going to see the Category 2 leaders in front of them as they go into the next ascent section. We're going to stay with Category 1 a little while longer, I think, because we are going to go into this critical phase of going over the top of the steep section. You can see the gradient easing top right-hand side. It's gone from 14%, it's down to 3%, 2%. It's going to hit 1%. It's going to go into minus numbers soon. And when it does, as it does now, the pace picks up. 46 kph coming out there. So it just came into the... then it ramps again, and again it ramps up, and this a 12% at peak as part of the climb. They are at 17.75. They're about 1k behind the leaders in Category 2, so it's not going to be long before they see the riders. And that group has come back together in Category 1. How long that's going to be, I'm not so sure. We're seeing another push in Category 2 up at the front. Jenny Daniels starting to wind it up with Maria Carmona on the climb, so we're seeing another little squeeze come in. We've just seen some red numbers coming in. Really interesting mix of riders here. Para in here. Angie Para used to be the absolutely epitome of the suicide breakaway, solo suicide breakaway, going like an absolute express train from start. Now Angie is riding, I think, smarter, using that power much more decisively and tactically. And that for me is a really important thing to do. Use the power you need it, and then where it counts to take that win. Great to see. Now another attack going, another push on here, and it's Jessenia Menendez. Well, we said welcome back, how to announce that you are back as we hit the very first ascent of the day. Menendez is back with distinction here today. Even if the race finished now, we're going to remember the attacks that came in. And I'll tell you something, there's a long way to go. We're only on the second of 3 major steps up this climb, and she's already putting in another move. Morgan Olsen in the Cavedo, Carvajal responding. They are the riders in here. You can see Menendez with that white cap with the blue and green on the top. Cavedo with the trademark black helmet on. I mean, chasing on there, it looks like we've got Gerardo Arias in this group. Fua sat comfortably in this group. Well, I'm saying comfortably in this group. She's ensconced within the group, and he's not looking to be being detached here. 174 beats per minute, not going to be particularly comfortable, though. That is pushing up there. Great pedal cadence, so 93 revs per minute, really spinning there.
Yeah, very different to what we saw earlier in those other categories when we were talking about a 37 RPM for Dallasay. So you can see these Category 1 riders moving up this time, the power coming down because the gradient now 11%, it's 10, it's 9, it's just dropping. I was going to say giving a little respite, but 9% gives respite to no one. It's dropped to 7, but it's still absolutely under the wheels at the moment. It is skywards and getting steeper again. So this group of Category 1 women being led by Menendez, Sanchez, Fua, Viraga, all moving up this climb, and they are adamant they are staying together. The more experienced riders in this group who have raced this before, they know how important it is to be attached to the other riders you want to go across the finish line with on the top of this climb, and they are fighting tooth and nail to stay together at the moment.
So here we go, Menendez is on the offensive again, keeping this race hard, keeping the pressure on the riders. She doesn't want to take all these riders in, fit with them feeling fresh. And I tell you something, she is taking the hammer. She's pounding the leg muscles of these riders behind her because she is absolutely setting the pace. She's the one who is dictating what the rest of the riders have to do. She's the one who's being able to control the speed, control the effort. We're going up now into 11.6, heading for 12% here. We are coming up into the last part of step 2 of this major climb. This is the Category 2 climb in the center. Total ascent in this part of the course from base to summit is 396 meters. Ella Vink is approaching the top of that section, but she has immediately behind her the leaders of Category 3. Really interesting to see the time gap that has opened from Vink to the rest of the riders in front. Carla Leonor, 2 minutes 51 clear, nearly 3 minutes clear on the climb on this section of ascent on an absolutely class rider like Ella Vink. It shows you that Leonor really knows that she has to make it count on the way up here. Now, here goes the riders in Category 3 on the left of your screen, chasing Leonor, and Leonor's over the top of the climb. This is the summit. She's gone over the top and she's onto the descent, so we have one rider already over the top of the climb, and now it's starting to go. You can see that this platform off the top, it's not quite level. There's a slight drop, a slight rise. It levels a little bit. She's going to hit the really steep section any second, and when that happens, she pushes over the top, it will accelerate up. And this is that bit of technique, isn't it, that's key, Emma? Push now over the top and into the descent. That momentum carries you for all of the descent.
Oh, completely and utterly. And you can see here now, so Lenore has gone up and over and she's pushed on. She's picking up the pace and she's moving now on this downhill section. De Silva, Alza and Dalasay are all together. They are 33 seconds behind, and they are now just transitioning onto the descent, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So we've got Lenore out front, Category 4. We've got 3 riders chasing now, all together behind. But take a look at that. Those 3 riders are now on the descent, but the time gap is going out.
The time gap's going out because they're on the upper section, on that slightly more level section at the top, not into the steep section. Here we go. So this is them. They are just cresting the climb here. You can see that gap currently now is up there at the 3-minute mark, but it's going to come down because they're going to pick up speed. Remember, it's about speed.
Completely.
And that is what sets the time. The time gaps are not taken on a fixed point. As you ride past it, the clock starts, and it stops when the next rider goes through. And this is where these riders now know. This is what they've got to push. Now, if they push at 3.5 watts per kilo into this downhill, they will carry a lot of pace into it and be able to pick up more speed and close that gap down.
And they have to work together. If they do not work together, they will not close that gap
down.
Not
for 3 minutes. I mean, that is huge. They're going to have to work, but it's doable. Look at the gaps coming up. It's now showing 6 minutes on the clock at the moment as we go over the top to these riders, and these are the riders who are in Category 3. So Category 3 over the top of the climb. They're chasing Category 4, who are up in front. They're quick.
Well, this Category 3 group, should they catch the 3 riders from Category 4 who are going over and chasing Lenore in front of them, you know, that may benefit the 3 chasing riders in this Category 4 race and bring them back to Lenore if they can jump into this bunch of Category 3 riders and take the tow, because the draft will now work pretty much for the next 14 kilometers. The draft will be available to those Category 4 riders if they are capable of staying in with the Category 3 riding group.
And that Category 3 group moved up that climb quick, didn't they, Emma? Give us some time splits between the riders. So Leonor set the fastest time in Category 4 of that climb. She had to. She was so fast.
She did indeed. So Lenore set the fastest time in Category 4 up the climb, 23 minutes and 33 seconds. Just as a highlight, Alzat was the second fastest Category 4 rider, 24:54. So a good minute behind. Category 3, Barco Ossa, the fastest climber, 22 minutes and 8 seconds. So 1 minute 24 faster.
But Barco Ossa has gone fast in Category 3, but she's got to get on with this group. They are splitting under the pressure that's being put on the front, and the dynamics of riding down here. Keep in the draft. Sit behind the rider. Now, the draft, the tail of that draft is longer. The faster you move, the bigger the draft effect, the longer the distance behind a rider that draft effect takes. There's also draft effect in terms of disruptive draft. Now, disruptive draft is where a rider behind you actually makes you go quicker. And in a train of 6 riders, the second from last rider gets an advantage of some 30%. 30% more disruptive draft, basically getting less friction through the air. That's the easy way to think of it. So if you're in a group of 6 riders and you are motoring through, you're not just not having to push through the draft in front, you are actually getting a push from those riders behind you, helping you along. So that is why it's so critical in that group to stay close together.
I'll tell you who's not getting any draft from anyone at the moment, and that is Carvajal at the moment. She's leading this Category 1 group up this climb. So Carvajal, Olsen, Menendez, Vergara, Marin, Castano, Quevedo. They are all in this group. Santiago is here as well. Do you know, this group have not split. They have worked so hard to stay together. Fua is there as well. This Category 1 pack will not let anybody go.
They're definitely not. That is a tight-knit group, and we're seeing Category 2 just in front of them on the climb. They are basically between Category 1 and the summit, which is coming up now. Being led out at the moment in Category 2 by Angie Parrott and Embry coming up towards the top of the climb. This is going to give us a real indicator of those differences in climbing ability when power to weight ratio is absolutely critical. You can see the watts per kilo the riders are producing. It's a key indicator of performance. It's something you can see when you look at a rider next to you on the road, and it gives you that same indicator here. You look at how much power they're doing because you can see how fast they're going, you can see how big they are. Now, here come Category 1. They are chasing. When we get Category 1 over the top, we'll get a look at those times as they go over the top. Who's going to lead them over the top? Well, it is with Yesenia Menendez, with Morgan Olsen, who goes over the top. The stretch over the top, that group has gone into one long line. And now, look at Olsen. Olsen has gone over the top. She was kicking at 5 or nearly 6 watts per kilo. The same is coming behind. We see some of our lower categories going over at 1, 2, 3 watts per kilo. They're doing double that, and that means they are going to carry a lot of pace and momentum in. They're looking to reinforce the gaps that they opened on the climb and to extend the distance between them and the riders behind.
And this is the critical point of this race for this Category 1 riders. If they are not together here, this is where they are really going to suffer. So those riders we can see in that long line shot, they have got to push hard now. Rather than taking immediate recovery, this is where they need to push.
Because gaps now are likely to stay or extend unless they can push quickly in. They push quickly in, they can sit in that draft, they can sit in that pocket, in with the group, and the gaps are really there. They are really pushing on here. Menendez is also at the front. Sanchez, who we're with, is about to join them. She's having to put a kick in 7 watts per kilo. Worth that sprint though, because she'll be able to sit in with these 2 riders. That's now 3 riders at the front behind. Wow. Quevedo, Menendez is behind Menendez, it's Quevedo, it's Fua, it's Vergara, it's Carvajal. They're starting to coalesce into one group. It's a bigger group behind, but the gap is there. And that means that they're going to have to keep on working for longer to bring this group back, and that's putting them under pressure.
That automatic assumption of taking a recovery on the downhill is not what you need to do here. You need to continue to push for as long as possible. The gap is around 2 to 3 seconds at the moment. So we have 3 riders clear at the moment in the Category 1 race. We have a group of chasing riders, but the gap is still fluctuating 2 to 3 seconds. They still have to push to catch those 3, because at the moment they are not coming back. So in Category 1 on the left hand side of your screen, we've got 3 riders clear on the descent and a chasing group working hard to catch them. Containing Castano, it's containing Verga, Marin and Fua. It is Sanchez, Olsen and Menendez, the 3 riders out front at the moment. On the right hand side of your screen, the Category 2 race are not that far down the hill in front of them. So you drop back in with the Category 1 race and we can see the gap is now coming down. It's down to 1 second. This is going to come back together because the work that the group have been doing behind, look, still 5 watts per kilo coming out of Quevedo. You know, they are nearly down the bottom of this hill, and that group of still kicking out 5 watts per kilo to make the catch.
And this is where that move at the front, kicking over the top, was worth it. They had to kick, they pushed into that downhill. They didn't need to push long, but it gave that front group the whole of the downhill to relax, and it's taken this long descent down here. I mean, we've seen speeds of approaching 70 kilometers an hour down here to catch the group, and it's not all over yet. We're still seeing riders being gapped again by this leading group. The pressure that is on this race, applied by the riders at the front on the uphill over the top, it really has been decisive in terms of how many people have made the top and how many people have got anything left in here. We're seeing big kicks to get back in. We're seeing riders forcing the way in. Now, if you can play it cool, sit behind and let somebody else do the chasing to bring that group back, maybe you save some energy, but that is such a high-risk option.
It needed everybody to work in that group to get that back together, but they are back together now, and that is absolutely critical. Though I say that, one rider has not made it.
It looks to me like Gerardo Arias has not made the junction. She's been distanced
or
by
Santiago,
them.
actually,
Santiago,
I think that's Santiago.
Wow, look at that. So it's riders being detached from the back of the group. They've not made the junction, and this is that run down. Remember, we're at 25.27k, 25k done, 35k total race distance. There's 10k to go, so 6 miles in Imperial. That basically means that they've got that long run into the finish, and it's not that long when they hit the base of this climb to get there. This is a good sized group that can work together. Really interesting to see who's in it. Castano, Olsen, Marin, Menezes, Vergara, Fua, Sanchez in there, Carvajal, Quevedo. Real who's who.
Well, let's take a look, because there's a green jersey in there as well. And they've picked up Jenny Sanchez on the way down, and Sanchez, she's a class category 2 rider. Sanchez regularly in the top 5 in category 2, taking a tow. And that group in front that you can just see down the road, I think that's the leading group in category 2. So Jenny Sanchez getting a tow back now up to the leaders in the category 2 race.
So Jenny Sanchez, who didn't stay with them, using the draft to category 1. Smart riding. Will want to stay in there. That draft effect of this group is going to make such a difference, and you can see Sanchez is coming up to the leading riders. Great spot there by Emma as they come in. So the rider in green is Jenny Sanchez, the rider that we are looking at the moment. She's in with this group. She's having to do somewhere because, of course, she's in with them. She won't want to drift off the back of that group. Can she use the group to go right the way through? Because when category 2 come into category 1, so come into category 2, as they approach it, the riders in category 2 won't necessarily be aware that Sanchez is tucked in with the category 1 riders, and they know they're being caught by a group. They think it's category 1. They might not know there's category 2 rider in there. Can she stay with them going through? Is she going to try and stay with them as they go through? Because the category 1 should go straight through here and out the other side. She's sitting at that pace, and that is the advantage, isn't it? She's been riding with them at the right pace to go through the group, but the response is coming out of category 2. There's 1 or 2 people who could get caught out here, though.
Well, they collect category 2 as they come up over this bridge and sweep over this right-hand bend. And this is a climb at the moment. It's only 2.2%, but it's enough to push on. And take a look at the watts coming out. So we've got a big push coming at 5.8 watts per kilo from Quevedo. The category 2 riders are having to work their socks off over this bridge to try and stay on the back of that category 1 group, because it's Morgane Olsen at the front, 4.8, just dropping back to 3.8. And Embring is working hard to go with them. So is Gonzalez, because they want to get into this group. Now that they are up and over the bridge, is going to start to drop, and that is going to allow them to concertina back. We've got a category 3 rider in there as well that the category 2 riders had picked up. So this now is a rolling group of the leaders in category 1, the leaders in category 2, and a category 3 rider in there who is taking the tow back up and into their race.
Yeah, and you can see the next pack of riders up in front are going to be, I think, category 3 riders. I'm not sure whether it's the leaders in category 3. We're going to take a little bit of a look. This is the lead in category 3, and I think the distance is a little bit great. So the riders are about to catch up. 2 people who've been detached, so 2 more chasers behind the lead group of category 3. Being caught, can they jump in as well? This big chasing pack on the left-hand side of your screen contains category 1 leaders, contains category 2 leaders, contains category 3 chasers. The category 3 leaders, they're on the right-hand side of your screen. They are coming back together again. And the other thing you can see from the screens, Leonor is now 30 seconds clear of Dalise. Dalise is currently only 40 seconds clear of the riders on the left of your screen, and they're the riders who are being caught by the big pet chasing back.
The question is, well, there's a couple of questions here. One, will all of our race categories come together, and will we have a group containing the leaders of all 4 race categories? Now, that could be likely. It's a strange scenario, but it could be likely because we have I'm going to say a rolling run into the finish. There are no more steep climbs. There is one bridge I can think of the possibility for an attack on, but it is very, very short and takes a massive kick to pull away, particularly from such a large group. Category 1 are going to want to recover a little from that effort on the climb and the effort on the descent to come back. So where are they going to attack? That Category 1 group is 8 riders. You're not going to want to take 8 riders into the sprint, but there's very few places to attack. Now, if Category 2 and Category 3, even Category 4 can play their cards right, with the recovery that Category 1 group are going to want to take before they come into the final couple of K run-in today, it could be either a very, very large group rolling together, or it could be the Category 1 riders trying to utilise a little confusion to break away.
I'm loving the fact you're predicting only 2 possible scenarios of what I think could be probably as many scenarios as there are riders left in play at the moment.
I think it's either going to be one massive sprint or someone's going to go.
Right, I think... I'm not going to tell you what I think because I think I'm going to have to watch the racing because I think it's going to be so... I was going to say something very different there, but I was just aware of where these riders are watching the terrain go past the different groups. Leonor at the front here, 31.4k. You've got 29.4k behind for this big chasing pack, the big peloton. Sandwiched in between, you have got the Category 3 leaders. They are the only leaders. So basically, you've got Leonor, you've got Dalise, the Category 3 leaders. You got Lean in there, I think, just working her way through. This is very, very close. We're not talking about very far, though. 31.7 now for Leonor. They're coming in. We're going to have 5k to go for the leading group of Category 1. This could be the case that Leonor is going to have one of those absolutely classics where she's going to come into the final 300 meters and she's going to be being chased down by one huge pack of riders, a bit like those mass bunch sprints coming down the finish of a Tour de France, men's or the women's, when you get that big pack behind. You got the one rider who's been away all day and they can see the line and you're just wondering, are they going to make it? That could be the scenario here, given the distances that we've got to go. But you said, Emma, there's nothing major. There's maybe one climb. I think the one climb is going to split this big group apart, and that will be to Leonor's benefit. You can just see right-hand side of your screen, top right-hand side, rising up in that profile. That is not easy riding. Having ridden it, it's not easy riding. Race pace, it's an absolute killer, and at the end of a race, we know that climbs could be a Category 4 at the start of the day, they can be a Category 1 at the end of the day. Same climb, it's where it is in the race that is critical, and this at the end is really, really nasty. Now, who's got anything left? If you've got anything left, if you want to make a move and not leave it to a sprint, and let's face it, in Category 1, would you really want to leave it to a sprint, or any of our categories for that matter? You won't want to do that. Now, a little bit forgotten, but only in terms of what we're talking about rather than out of our minds, is Liberty Dalise. Because Dalise has been chasing. Remember, Leonor went over the top 6 minutes. Let's just repeat that. 6 minutes at one stage was that time gap from Leonor to Dalise. Dalise took advantage of the downhill and that descent to close back down again. She has got in her sights Carla Leonor, and it's on this climb. This is that section, 3.4% ascent here, 3.3. She's chasing, she's on her way, and looks like we've got another rider behind, so 3 riders in fact.
Indeed. So Leonor out in 1, Dalise chasing in 2 in the Category 4 race. 3rd place in the Category 4 race, De Silva, is with the leading group of 6 riders in the Category 3 race. Now let's remember, there are top 5 positions only, so one rider is going to miss out there in that Category 3 race, but De Silva is taking the toe back up to Dalise. You know, we could see this all come together in Category 3 3 and Category 4 as well. And that's not counting the fact that this group we are looking at the moment, with the leaders in Category 2 and Category 1 mixed in with Category 4 and Category 3, could make the catch.
They could indeed. Now, we've just gone through our final sprint segment. This is the Canberra sprint segment. It's 300 metres. Emma, dive in those numbers. Let us know what they tell us in terms of the chase. We can see... it's really difficult. We can see that the Category 1 pack are rocketing along. Yes.
They are indeed. However, and there is some howevers in here. So the time set fastest through the final sprint section is from Carvajal, 28 seconds, moving really quickly. Gonzalez, Castano, Sanchez, 31 seconds. Let me tell you, 31, 32 seconds down to 30th place. So all of the riders moving at pretty much the same pace through this segment.
And how fast Leonor in there? This is a key moment. How fast is Delisay? Where did they come in this? How much time have they lost on the way through that 300 metre segment?
So Delisay, 4 seconds.
4 seconds, that's all she lost. She lost 4 seconds. Delisay's now moved into the race lead. She's ahead of Leonor.
7.
And that is where you saw Delisay closing. 3 she made up there. 4 seconds, basically, in 300 metres. Then she's come past. Delisay's now in the lead. We've got new leader on the road. We've got Carla Leonor chasing. Then you can see this is a chasing pack, and they are coming up to Leonor. That means Delisay will be a solo leader, 11 seconds down the road from this chasing pack. This pack is trying to stay clear of the peloton behind. I'm going to call it the peloton because it's category 1, 2 leaders. The 3, 4 chasers. That's the big group behind. Time is running out, though, and it is running out really fast.
Well,
faster than the
2.3 kilometres to go for this group who are at the front here. It's only Delisay out front. She's only got about 10 seconds. You can see her. She's just going around that right-hand bend up front. And this group are pushing along to catch her. So coming up to 2 kilometres to go for this group. This is the leading group on the road. This is the Category 3 and Category 4 leaders. The chasing group containing the Category 1 and the Category 2 leaders.
So this is it. This is the run in. We're into the final kilometre for Delisay. We're into the final kilometre now for the chasers behind, who are the leaders in Category 3 and the chasers in Category 4. Behind, we've got a big peloton coming as well. If you've got a chair, if you're on the edge of the seats, do what I do. Kick it off into the distance. You don't need that. You need to be up and close to your screens watching this. This is going to be a grandstand finish. It's not going to be about sitting on watching this in, because this is going to be close. Delisay is pushing on here. She's hitting the 500 metres to go marker. Can she hold on? What they're going to do behind the Category 3 riders are coming. They're concentrating on their sprint. The Category 4 riders need to work on. They're giving away the win. They're giving away the #1 prize money, but Delisay's pushing, and this is a really tricky finish. 90-degree left-hand turn. This is the run for the line. Who's going to take it in? It's Delisay at the moment with the gap. The gap is 3 seconds. It's 5 seconds. It's yo-yoing as the speeds vary. Bulgarian is coming in Category 3. I've seen 15 watts per kilo come out of her. But Delisay says she's passed by Bulgarian. Bulgarian has put the massive sprint in. It's Bulgarian who goes over the line. She takes the win in Qualifier Race number 3. And that's MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
So Bulgarian taking the win in Category 3. Delisay holding on for first place in Category 4 from De Silva, from Lenore, as we drop back in with this Category 1 pack and Category 2. These are the leaders in Category 1 and Category 2, and they are up and over the climb. They are just about to start on the descent, and they've got 1.5 kilometres to go.
Emma, we saw a fantastic sprint finish. We saw that catch. We saw that little gap by Delisay. Does that mean it's not time to attack? I don't think it does.
We're
Look
seeing
at
an
this.
attack on the front. Here goes Carvajal at 8 watts per kilo. Carvajal pushes off the front here of this group. She does not want to take 8 Category 1 riders and the group of Category 2 riders in. She's pushing early. She's got 1.3 kilometres to go. So Carvajal going. Julie Sanchez, who we know's got a big kick, is there. So is Anna Embring, and Anna Embring is our Category 2 rider. She's ensuring she's at the front of this group, and she's going to dig deep to stay with them until she gets to the finish line. It's just over 1 kilometre to go, and the action is now hotting up.
Well, this is it. This is that running. This is going to be tight. Who's going to take this? Remember, this is the world's most trickiest finish just about. We have a long straight, then a sharp left, and the line is there. Our riders will not see it. They need to know where it is to get the timing right, to get the sprint right. They're all starting to power on now. And if you've not got a big kick, you're going to be gritting your teeth and hoping it is not going to hurt too much here. If you've got a big kick, you are going to look to see where you're going to go. Who's your money on, Emma, quickly?
Well, my money may well be on Menezes today, but it could be anybody's. This is about timing as they come into 500 metres to go.
So the fastest riders on the course, they take that right-hand turn. This is that long straight that takes us into the final corner. The fastest riders today will be our Category 1 riders. Who's going to take it? Emma, take us into that finish.
Well, Justina Menezes is kicking at 14 watts per kilo. I said she might go, but Olsen has gone as well. Menezes kicks again. This is Menezes, Castano, Quevedo. Furi's in at 13 watts per kilo. Marin kicks. Menezes is leading this out. Olsen is there, so is Quevedo and Marin, but Menezes takes the win in the Category 1 race.
Well predicted by Emma, the Category 1 race being taken by Justina Menezes on her return to the Sunday Race Club. I'm loving the emotes going up, riders up and waving in the air, doing an amazing job coming in through to the finish. Isabel Giraldo just making her way in. We're just staying with her as she comes in towards the finish as we pull up our results here. So let's bring you the confirmed top three. Category 2, let's do the top three first of all. In third place, Angie Para, second place Valentina Acevedo, first place Top Spot, and first prize will be going to Jenny Sanchez. All these results got subject to verification. Now, in the Category 1, top 5, fifth place Morgan Olsen, fourth place Catherine Fua, third place Daniela Marin, second place Karut Quevedo, and first place, Emma's prediction, Justina Menezes.
And less than a second separating first from fifth.
What a tight, exciting, fast, furious, and intriguing race. That's why we love the Sunday Race Club. It has been an absolute cracker. This is a bonus month. Remember, we have got another qualifier next week in our women's competition before we move on to our finals. Don't forget, of course, you can join me, Matt Payne, and Emma Martin for the men's race in between. And that's going to be coming up very, very shortly, both on Twitch TV and on the YouTube stream. Please do join us. It's an absolute pleasure putting words to action. I hope you really enjoy it as much as we do. There's huge smiles on our faces in the studio. I'm sure there is across all of the team at MyWhoosh who bring you all of the action. So from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin and all of the team, stay safe. Have a great ride. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.